I want to start off today and share with you a quote that has helped me through some very challenging times. It's a quote that is a beautiful way to remember that hardship comes with growth, and that has been very fitting in my entrepreneurial journey. The more difficulties one sees in the world, the more perfect one becomes. The more you plow and dig the earth, the more fertile it becomes. The more you cut the branches of a tree, the higher and taller it grows. This is a beautiful quote. On a completely unrelated note to tests and difficulties, I started working with my husband recently. People who are chuckling are married, I can tell. And it's been interesting, code word, but it's been very special as well. And so when we go on calls together, because we work with each other, now I have a business, Sugardoh, and he joined me 2 years after I launched. When we go on calls, the number one comment we get from people that see us is, "I don't know how you guys do it. I could never work with my spouse. It would drive me crazy." And I kind of chuckle when I hear that because they don't know that we're already crazy. It takes a special kind of delusion to work in and out, day in and out, side by side with your spouse. But with this beautiful tension comes a lot of lessons. And that's what I want to share with you today. My husband and I are very different. Some would say we're polar opposites. I asked my friends the other day to describe us in a couple words, and they described me as warm, flowy, creative, and they described him as driven, curious, competitive. And it's within that polarity, because we've been able to move through it, that we've been able to think about our leadership and how we run the business in a more balanced way. And my journey is anything but ordinary. Actually, it's pretty unordinary. Statistically speaking, I looked this up the other day, the estimated likelihood of somebody like me, a Black, female, 28-year-old entrepreneur who has a revenue of $14 million in sales over the last 14 years and has raised $1 million in capital is 1 in 14 million. Thank you. It's the first time saying that out loud. And so the odds weren't in my favor, but here we are. And so today I simply want to share with you my story, how I launched the business, how I'm running it with my husband, and all the lessons I've learned along the way. But to mix it up a bit, I'm going to do it in a storybook format with the working title of, oh, where are we right now? Oh, that's me working with my husband, going in different directions. With the working title of The Sweet and Salty Journey of Running a Business with My Spouse, and all the ups and downs. I've broken it into 3 chapters, each chapter offering something different. So, chapter 1, the bright-eyed dreamer, the magical business, and the money monster lurking in the shadows. So, I have a company called Sugardoh. I started it in 2020. We make hairy people happy with our at-home sugaring kits. I promise. And if you haven't heard of sugaring, it's a superior version of waxing. It is the most sustainable format of hair removal on the market right now. And if there are some people with Iranian descent, your grandmother or mother probably made this at home. And when I first launched Sugardoh, I was just making it in my kitchen, like your Persian grandmother, and fulfilling it in my garage. And it turned into a viral product. Now, 4 years later, we are in 1,300 retailers. If you know of Ulta Beauty, you'll find us in there. And we are quickly making waves in the US hair removal market. And launching Sugardoh was very special to me. I would have an idea, I would act on the idea, and there would be confirmations that would be shown to me that I am on the right path. For example, the name Sugardoh came in a 10-minute brainstorm, and a 20-second viral TikTok video put us on the map. Literally overnight, we went from 5 orders a week to 500. With that, we also were able to get in prestigious accelerator programs, won over $100,000 worth of pitch competitions, and got organic media and PR left and right. Everything was just so fluid and creative. I was in the most creative headspace of my life because I got to do everything on my own accord, and it felt freeing. It was like, if you guys have ever experienced this, just a faucet of inspiration being poured on you, and all you have to do is hold a bucket and collect it. I also launched Sugardoh in a very communal way. I got my close friends, 50 friends and family, sent them the product, iterated over and over, and tried to get the perfect sugaring kit for them. And because I cared so deeply about feedback, I was able to make a product that now people know and love. But in running this business and launching this business, I was relying really heavily on my default settings, which was being collaborative, generous, and nurturing. And those default settings didn't transfer very well to running a business, especially in this era that we're in, this challenging economic era. So, for example, I avoided conflict, which made decisions later on hurtful for the business. And I was so interested in getting in this creative flow that there was oversight in some of the details of the business, such as operations and supply chain. Then came the financial hurdles, which were hard. This was right before we were about to launch in our big retailer. And because of the oversight, I had to choose between paying contractors, paying for inventory, or paying our tough lenders. Not to mention, I was 9 months pregnant at the time, and I had hit the edge of my strength. And so the closest person to me was my husband, and so with spreadsheets in my hand, I ran to him with tears welling in my eyes and just showed him where we were at, not sure if we could continue. I was ready to end this chapter of my life, but what often feels like the end is usually the beginning of a better chapter ahead. So, chapter 2, the organized optimizer slays the monster. Or so he thought. My husband took the reins of the business. He saw what I had built, was inspired by what I had created, and wanted to take it through to the end. I also didn't realize how much I was carrying myself and was more than happy to get the support. Y'all also know that carrying a baby is hard enough in itself. After the birth of my first son, I took a step back from the business, and my husband stepped into a leadership role. And he operated very different than how I operated. He was more into action, control, results, which was pretty opposite to my go-with-the-flow attitude, make everyone happy. He believed that in order to turn the business around, we needed to turn away from how I was doing things, and he was enticed by all the challenges ahead. He fired agencies, added structure, looked at the data to make results. We were ready to start a new era of Sugardoh, so we invested more money into the business, and we were off. We had an amazing launch at our retailer. We went from 300 stores and blew those numbers out the water by 600%, where our buyer wanted to move us from those 300 stores to 1,300 stores in a matter of months. We needed a bigger team for this. And so my husband led the charge in hiring our first full-time team. It was 8 full-time employees. We had monthly meetings with them, we had quarterly leadership summits, and we had KPIs throughout the business. It was grow, 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 and go, 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 and it was a very exciting time. We were able to double the business in a matter of a year, and we had this team that was eager to see how we can dream bigger. But inside, how I started the company was still itching at me. I wanted to implement that into the business, but it was just a gut feeling which didn't really stand a chance in this era of reasoning. The way my husband was leading was very data-driven and growth at all costs. So we ran into some all too familiar financial issues. This singular focus didn't make too much space for mistakes and circumstances, so we were building a plane while flying it too. We ran into a financial crunch that felt very familiar to when I was leading the business, this time under my husband's watch. So we were lost, confused, and didn't know what to do to the future, in the future. Not to mention, I realized I was pregnant again. When it rains, it pours. We were ready to close this chapter of our lives, but once again, what often feels like an end is usually the beginning of something better. Chapter 3, burnout, breakthroughs, and lunch. And brunch, thank you. When our second son was born, we were both burnt out, violently humbled, and ready to let go of the company and focus on our kids. We saw our shortcomings, but were really proud of what we had built together. We had already cut the team in half and were trying to fundraise in an economy that was pretty dry of capital. In a moment of pure surrender, we gave it all to God. We sat, we prayed, and we slept. 2 weeks later, everything completely changed. For one, we won a major award with our retailer, which put us in the map for future retailers. We also got an opportunity to film on a national television show. And we found like-minded investors who believed in us, saw our vision, helped us get out of bad loans, and helped spread the word for future opportunities. Which leads us to today. Hello. Through these tough lessons, I've done this really beautiful thing called reflecting, and I've had to do so with my spouse. It was obvious that we couldn't build the business my way or his way. We had to build the business our way. So what did that mean? That meant ignoring the noise from what we read online on the internet, how to start a business, 10 steps for starting a business. And we had to rely on our own resources of action, consolidation, and reflection. Now, we are profitable, have a strong and mighty team, and now we choose opportunities instead of just take them. Throughout these chapters, we've gained a massive amount of respect for each other. Our conversations have got deeper, our business decisions have gone smarter, we found better ways to communicate with each other. Actually, the most important use of our time is not a finance call or a marketing sync. It's us eating brunch together for 2 hours, checking our egos at the door, reflecting on the week, and talking about how we can make the next week better. And so, the story continues to unfold today. In retrospect, my husband and I led with our default settings. For him, it was more masculine dominant. For me, it was more feminine dominant. And though my husband and my dominant qualities are stereotypically gendered, this has nothing to do with gender or gender preference. This actually has more to do with how we process information in our brains, whether we use the left side of the brain or the right side of the brain. Left side being structure, reasoning, focus, and certainty. Right side, creative, feeling, flow, ease, allowing. So I was purpose-driven, he was goal-oriented. I flowed with creativity, he thrived on structure. The problem, the balance was off. And this imbalance is not unique to us. It's actually seen on a much larger scale. Leadership, especially in the US, has done amazing things, but it's also led to the largest income inequality gap in generations and has ravaged the environment. Why? The balance has been off here too. In my opinion, we've leaned too heavily on masculine traits, action, control, results, while undervaluing feminine, empathy, connection, and long-term vision. So, how do we fix this? We need to rethink what we value in leadership. We all have masculine and feminine qualities. We all have them within us, so it's not about choosing between masculine and feminine. It's not just about also having more women in leadership, though that is crucial. It's about masculine-leaning leaders, often men, being open to embrace feminine qualities and vice versa. Sometimes the situation calls for action, structure, but other times, and in this day and age, probably most of the time, It leans towards empathy and intuition. Actually, when I first entered the corporate world, I leaned really heavily into my masculine traits. I was pushing, driving, and running myself to the ground. And I didn't realize there was another way to exist in the world. Now, with Sugardoh and with people close by supporting how I am and how I like to operate, I've softened into a state of flow, leaning into the feminine side. However, because of the beginning of my corporate work life, I got pretty hesitant to masculine traits entering Sugardoh. I was so resistant to having masculine traits dominate my business that I almost missed how it could actually amplify my natural leadership style, leading with empathy, intuition, and collaboration. Now my husband respects the way I lead, he supports the way I lead, and he fills in the gaps. He sees my strengths, I see his. We are not rigid, we are fluid. So here's what I want to leave with you today. Lead with your natural strength, but stay open. Whether your core energy is masculine or feminine, first identify it, really do that internal work, figure out who you are, but don't ignore the other side. Number 2, when something feels off, seek balance. If you find yourself stuck, ask yourself, what's missing? More structure, more empathy. More strategy, more intuition. Work with the opposites. Number 3, embrace the contrast. I love contrast. It's my favorite tool to use. And when I say contrast, it's something that's maybe oppositional to what you're doing, a feeling that you don't like. Instead of shying away from that, we embrace it. We use it as a data point to analyze how we are feeling. What decisions do I want to make? Opposites aren't a threat. They are an opportunity to learn. True leadership is not about being one thing. It's about being everything at the right time. And when we embrace the balance, we can build businesses, communities, and lives that truly thrive. So I want you to remember that in this day and age, we really need to lean into the differences. And if you are the difference, you need to find your tribe, those people who will uplift who you really are and go up that uphill journey. But don't just take it from me. I'm just a statistical anomaly. Thank you.
Think of sharing what you know.